There are 30 NBA teams. That means there are 30 NBA teams who we have to talk about their injury report for. That's a mangled sentence, a bit like some of these players' bodies. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and this is bigger than the podcast. They tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Go check out lockedondaily.com, and you can find the best newsletter for your favorite NBA team. That is, of course, lockedondaily.com. It's free, it's in your inbox, it's once a day. Check it out. Double bang this one as well. That means you watch the video, you go back and listen to the audio later on, you just put it on in the background, soothing sounds while you're getting down to business. Or you get down to business first and listen to the podcast, and then just to relax, you put it on the big screen. Easy done. Let's talk about injuries. We are a couple of days away from the NBA All-Star break. Expect nonsense, expect silliness, expect ridiculousness, expect random returns. We go, oh, why didn't they hold him out until through the break? Which happens all the time. And you go, this guy's been out for 6 months. Here's one game before the break. That happens. And then there'll be the one where it's like, yeah, he's fine, but we decided to just hold him out and give him an extra 7 days rest, which of course makes more sense. I say all that to tell you that whatever happens in these next 3 to 4 days, you're going to have weird things happen. You're going to have weird injuries. You're going to have things that don't make sense. You're going to have a bunch of resets happening within the next week. I am recording this on Monday, February the 10th, US time at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern. As with everything in the NBA, everything is subject to change. So be ready for that. We'll have multiple shows every day, like we always do, updating things as they go down, plus all the social stuff that we have as well. It is National White Shirt Day, so I'm wearing a white shirt. You got to celebrate. You got to really make sure that one counts. Let's look at the Wizards. We'll start at the bottom of the alphabet. Keyshawn George has been playing well. He's been playing above his head, but now he's also dealing with an ankle injury. So we don't really know how long he's going to be out for. We're going to find out, of course, over the next couple of hours, I guess. With him out, it just opens up more stuff for guys like Bubbles, Passion Pop, Champagne, for Cordy Kispert, that sort of player. Alex Sarah's been out for a while, and they just are telling us absolutely nothing. So I don't really know what to make of that. I do think Sarah is going to have a strong run down the stretch, but it is entirely possible that he still can't shoot, and he doesn't get any minutes boost, and he's still just a fringe player. I'm not going to rule that part of it out. Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton, allegedly, they are returning after the All-Star break. For how long and for what reason? I guess you'll have to ask one of the big men upstairs, because I've got no idea. I don't know what they're planning to do. What does this mean? Does it mean that Carrington and George take a seat? Do they come off the bench for Middleton and Smart for a week, a month, a game? I don't know. I think it's going to be very messy. I wouldn't bother with Middleton or Smart, but it's going to be something to watch. And the last one is Anthony Gill, who's dealing with an ankle problem, and I couldn't believe that anybody cares. Onto the Utah Jazz. At the moment, there's one player in the injury report. It is the Padawan Colin Sexton. I'm pretty sure he might return before the break. He might not. He sprained his ankle. It looked pretty bad. They'll try and use excuses, but we've seen just random stuff where John Collins would sit out for 4 weeks with personal reasons and hip injuries, and then come back and play 30 minutes. What we do know is that Clarkson, Markin, and Collins are going to sit, and probably Kessler, to be honest, one half of all back-to-backs. Then you get to get Sensabaugh and Williams and Filipowski and Maka Potter play games and minutes, and Mihailuk and Zhuzhang and all these random spuds are going to get extra minutes in some games and none in the others. At the moment, all we know is that Sexton's out, so George is up, Clarkson's up, Collier's up. George and Collier just need to be rostered, I believe, across all leagues, and I have said that for weeks. Toronto, Rowan Barrett dealing with a concussion. Concussions are so weird, right? Because we always have an idea. We always like to look at an injury and go, did it look bad? How bad was it? Ooh, that looked nasty, right? But that doesn't work for concussions. You can get smacked in the head that hard where it looks dreadful, right? But your recovery from it might be not immediate, but might be 2 days. Or you might cop the most innocuous knock to your head where you play through it, then 2 days later, concussion symptoms occur and you're out for 3 months. I'm not saying that's what Barrett's doing, but we just don't know. So we can say, ooh, it looked pretty nasty. Doesn't mean anything in terms of recovery. It honestly doesn't. Now, if you lose consciousness, that does mean concussions are likely to be more serious and more likely, right? But in terms of just that ankle sprain looked bad, or his knee really buckled up and his arm was hanging at an angle, we can do that for other body parts. Can't do that for the old brain. So we just don't know about Rowan Barrett and where he's going to sit there. At the moment, their next game is Tuesday, I believe. I think that's true. And I don't know whether Barrett's going to play. And obviously losing someone like Barrett helps guys like Abaji and Walter, but they're probably not guys we care about that much. Yucca Pirtle dealing with his hip issue. They've got a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. I don't think he's playing on Tuesday. They've said that this has bothered him for a while, and I'm getting a little bit worried about it. If you're looking to stash someone, it's Mobo. Behind him, it's Orlando Robinson. It's probably not Boucher. Brandon Ingram, the report from Michael Grange from Sportsnet, who's a pretty plugged-in Raptors guy. Sometimes he says a little bit of stuff that maybe is not right on the money, but that's okay. Most of the time he's correct. He said that they're looking at weeks, maybe up to a month for Ingram. What happened to this man's ankle? He heard it at the beginning of December, and we've heard nothing. Nothing. Great. Was it a grade 3 ankle sprain? It would be nice to know that, because we don't. We just assume because it's Brandon Ingram, the slowest recoverer in the history of the world, that it was going to take time. But my initial thing was, okay, maybe he's back the 2nd of January. So are we talking the start of March now? And the Raptors had better hope. They had better hope that they've had discussions with Ingram about signing a contract extension, because if they traded for him, did they give up much? Not really. The fit is incredibly questionable with their team. But if they traded for him, just to not play him this season to push for the play-in, which they shouldn't push for the play-in, and then he walks in free agency, what are you idiots doing? But maybe they must. I will give the benefit of the doubt to the legendary Masai Ujiri and the questionable Bobby Webster about what they're doing. I'm still going to tell you, I think the fit's terrible, but I don't know what we're doing here with it. Honestly, we're at the stage here where I don't know that you need to hold Ingram. As always, if you've got open IL slots, ignore everything. It doesn't matter. You just put him there. But if you need them, we might be weeks away from this happening, amazingly. Dick copped a bit of an injury to his neck. So I know you guys are always thinking about neck and Dick, but that is what happened to Grady. He only played 14 minutes. We're not using him anyway, outside of deeper leagues. And yeah, it would be useful with no Barrett there to get him some extra minutes, but he is a points and 3 streamer for deeper formats, and that's it. In San Antonio, it's just Goldfinger. Charlie Bassie with MCL sprain. They haven't really given us many details on that. I'll put him out through the All-Star break, maybe to the start of March, as I realize I wrote the date the correct way there, which I know is going to confuse a lot of you. I wrote 1/3, which actually does mean the 1st of March. But of course, you guys, a majority of you guys live in reverse world, so apologies for that. It is the 1st of March that I've got an estimated return time for Charlie Bassie. The Kings have been kissed on the dick again. No injuries for them. They have had a remarkable run the last couple of years. You do worry at some point, because at the moment, the Thunder and the Wolves have had that too. The Wolves are copping it now. The Thunder have also got a lot of guys out at the moment. So we'll see where maybe Sacramento just continues to be lucky. Portland, Jeremy Grant, the Ides of March are here. It is early, Jeremy. You are a month too early, my guy, but you are dealing with knee soreness. Now, they had been cooking blokes, and then they lost to the Wolves, and he played 38 minutes in that game. We know, and to be fair, we have a laugh about Jeremy Grant and the Ides of March and all that stuff. I do actually think that his knees are not great. I think there are some real concerns with it. But honestly, John Armstrong, you know what we're doing with Jez, yeah? Get that garbage out of here! Not good enough to hold. He's just not good enough to hold. If he is out, Denny Avdia will probably play some more. Now, I know there are a lot of Denny Avdia apologists out there, so the reason why his minutes are down is because he's got a sore wrist. Maybe. That is possibly true, right? But it's undeniable how bad he's been. Look at his last 6 games. 25, 22, 39, 23, 18, 23 minutes. But if Grant misses and Avdia's minutes don't go back up, then you've got to be a little bit worried about Denny there as well. Chris Murray is dealing with a quad injury. Oh, yeah, cool. Don't care. He is not good at all. Robbie Williams, the Rock DJ, left the last game with a knee problem. He's questionable, but there's not even a guarantee that he plays every night. Last game, we had 8 minutes from him and 6 minutes from Klingon, and it appears that they're sort of going to alternate backup minutes. You do not need to stash Don Klingon in my mind. And the last one is Matisse Thybulle. Will we ever see him play a game? I don't know. Not sure I care that much, but not sure. The Phoenix Suns, Kevin Durant, ankle problem. They're listing him questionable for Tuesday's game. They've got a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. So he, Grayson Allen, and Bradley Beal all sort of day-to-day there. And it's just a mixture of, like, if a couple of those are out and Allen plays, you stream him, then otherwise you go to O'Neal, it bumps Tyus Jones. But overall, when they all play, like, it does crowd a lot of this stuff up. We've got Cody Martin, who's dealing with this sports hernia. I think he's going to be out for a few weeks there, end of February. He will probably find a rotation role, and that'll impact O'Neal, impact Jones, it'll impact Allen. It might even push like someone like Ryan Dunn out of the rotation. I think there's a possibility of that. And then Jalen Bridges, two-way guy, is dealing with an illness. In Philadelphia, only a couple of injuries on the report. We know Joel Embiid is perpetually injured, but at the moment, Kyle Lowry is dealing with a hip issue. He's just not really part of their plans much at all. And Eric Gordon with knee soreness. He's also sort of fallen away there as guys like Justin Edwards and Quentin Grimes take some of the playing time. And then in Orlando, the only guy on the injury report is Jalen Suggsy, who continues to be listed doubtful. The Magic continue to rise up our visible shit list of injury reporting teams, and with him out, Cole Anthony and Mr. Black become options, but they're not guys that you consider must roster. I'd have Anthony over Black, Cole Anthony over Anthony Black, but this is not a particularly interesting grouping of players. Today's episode is brought to you by the big fellas over at Open Phone. Running a small business means that you can wear a lot of hats. You've only got one head, but maybe you need multiple hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone. And before you know it, you're juggling customer calls day and night. The team grows, and it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where Open Phone comes in. It is the #1 business phone system designed to keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app on your phone or on your computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries. So you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second that you hang up. And right now, Open Phone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/lockedonnba. That is openphone.com/lockedonnba for 20% off your 6 months. Openphone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no charge. Whenever I read that ad, and it's like, you can integrate with tools like HubSpot. I feel like those memes saying, don't forget to swizzle your nap spot and get in there and send a flight over onto the wildness. These programs in real words, I don't know. Anyway, shout out to my huz. Next one, what are we talking about? That's a really good question. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder. It is the Hong Kong mattress. Carson Wallace dealing with this shoulder issue. He continues to be out. They continue to give us no update on it. It's feeling a little Alex Caruso ankle injury where they just rule him out game by game for 20 games in a row, which is annoying. Carson's out on Monday. Maybe he's available Wednesday. They got a Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back, so who knows. Isaiah Joe also out, so maybe he returns on Wednesday. Usman Jeng also out. Maybe he returns on Wednesday, but we just do not know about this. The only thing we do know is that AJ Mitchell recently converted off a two-way contract. Is not going to be available probably until the end of March. And with Wallace and Joe and Jeng out, Aaron Wiggins' value rises. Kenrich Williams for deeper leagues, his value rises as well. Alex Caruso for standard leagues, his value rises in this particular spot. For the Knicks, the Jedi OG Anunoby, they told us, it's fine, he's day-to-day, didn't look bloody fine, did it? And he hasn't played in about a week. Last time he played, was Saturday the 1st of February. We are at the 11th of February. So, it just would be nice to have known. They've got a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. He's doubtful for Tuesday. It would make absolutely zero sense for me that OG plays on Wednesday, but who knows? Precious Achua continues to be that guy there. Mitchell Robinson, who they originally said maybe a January return, is still not back, and we're talking about early March. No, you don't stash Mitchell Robinson. I know some of you are. I know you are. I know you are. Please don't. You don't do it. He is a low upside, low value fantasy player who's been out for months and months and months, and you just don't need to do it. The other one there is Pacome Dadier, who is dealing with a toe injury, and I think at the start of the year, I wish I remembered. I need to go back and look at it. If someone wants to do it, I believe it's on my Knicks season preview show where I talked to the Locked On Knicks host and said, what's the over-under for total minutes of Paco Dadier this season? I think I said it at 75 total minutes. I wonder if we hit it. I wonder if we're going to get that number. Pretty unlikely for a first-round pick anyway. The New Orleans Pelicans, next team up. There is a bit of nonsense that might be going on here. We've got Christian James McCollum, who is out for personal reasons. Maybe he's available to return on Wednesday. But obviously with him out, we are just hard streaming in Jose Alvarado. Just add Alvarado everywhere. He started the last game. They might put Alvarado in. And what I think could happen here, we could get Jordan Hawkins starting, but we might get Carlo Makovic back. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Watch for Hawkins, watch for Makovic. Now, McCollum's not expected to be out long term here. The other thing is that Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk have come through on the trade. The trade's finalized. We're all good to go, but they're not playing. So, are they negotiating a buyout? Are these guys going to play at all? Let me double check this. I don't think Olynyk is going to be bought out because I believe he's got a contract for next year as well. I have to double check that. Yeah, he does. Got a contract, $13.4 million for next season. So Olynyk is not getting bought out. I don't know why Toronto traded for him and then extended him, but I guess it's not their problem anymore, is it? So I don't know that Brown's around. Olynyk, it doesn't make a ton of sense for them to play him when Misi and Makovic are there, but who knows what they do. Anytime you see Olynyk play 24 minutes, you add him though. And the last one is BJ Boston, who is still on a two-way. They have not converted him. He has got 8 games left. He is out with an ankle sprain. They look pretty significant. I think there's a chance that he doesn't return until after the All-Star break. Then we go to Minnesota, and we're in a situation where there's a few of these guards that are out. It doesn't appear to be long-term for Anthony Edwards or Mike Conley, but we've got to mention them because they missed the last game. Ant is questionable on Monday. So is Conley. The longer-term ones there, well, if they're out, Nickeil Alexander-Walker's the stream, and then Jalen Clark, then Rob Dillingham. Julius Randle, I'm going to guess, is out through the All-Star break with this groin soreness, which miraculously turned into a multi-week strain. Yeah. If there's one thing you learned from me this season, there's a million things, but number one, when an NBA team labels something a soreness or a soft tissue injury, it's a strain, they're going to be out for weeks. Number two, when a player says they're fine, don't believe them. I hope when we're talking injuries, just they're the two things I want you to pay attention to. When a team says soreness and they leave in the middle of the game, it's a strain, they're out weeks. When a player says, no, I'm probably okay, ready to go, they're lying. Or actually, you know what? It's not that they're lying, they are. It's not that they're lying, it's that you do not believe them. So it's not that you say, well, you said you're fine, so you're definitely hurt. It's that if they say they're fine, they go, I actually don't care. Let me wait until I actually get real information because you are just going to say whatever you want. And it's not trustworthy. It's not a lie if you believe it. Anyway, Randall and Dante DiVincenzo, I expect maybe return post-break. DiVincenzo maybe a little bit longer than Randall, but that's where we're at. And then when DiVincenzo returns, any hope of Alexander Walker or Conley maintaining value drop, and then Naz Reid's value will drop as well, although he still probably will be a guy that we hold on to and roster. For the Milwaukee Bucks, Dame Lillard, who's been carrying hard. He played 44 minutes yesterday, and now it's a back-to-back against the Warriors, and shockingly enough, he appeared on the injury report with hamstring soreness. Now that one, because he didn't leave the game with a hamstring injury, and they labeled it soreness, maybe it is soreness. Maybe that he played 44 out of 48 minutes, Glenn, on a back-to-back, maybe that's a problem. And if they are smart, and often they are not, but if they are smart, they will rest their 35-year-old starting point guard on an idiotic back-to-back before the All-Star break, just so that hamstring doesn't blow up. But you know what? We don't know. Surely they've got no worries about soft tissue injuries being a problem. Shout out to, Giannis is out with a calf strain through the All-Star break. I'm expecting him to miss those games and maybe even a little bit of time after that because this is a problem that has plagued Giannis for a couple of years now. And with Giannis out, Bob Portis is up, Kyle Kuzma's up, Deeper League's Torian Prince is up, and the ability to stream in Gary Trent Jr. remains somehow there. Paddy Connaughton, they're labeling him questionable with a calf strain, which is questionable to me. Because Connaughton has a calf strain, and that is a long-term injury, so I don't know. Unless, again, do they lie? Or do they purposely create confusion on injury reports? What's the differentiation between those two things? In Miami, bit of a tummy bug going through the Heat at the moment with Triple H, Jaime Jaquez Jr. he is out with a stomach illness, and Tyler Hero is questionable with a stomach illness. If both of these dudes are out, I would imagine that Terry Rozier's value rises. I would imagine that Davion Mitchell has to play minutes in his first game. Alec Burks can play some minutes as well, but, what do you care? You don't care that much for a one-game thing. Pelle Larsson will get some playing time as well. That is nothing that we consider long-term, unless the stomach illness is cholera, and if so, RIP their toilets. Memphis. This is a team that has been banged all the way up all season. I find it very interesting. I don't know why this is bothering me, but I get into arguments with Memphis people because I believe that they were terrible at the trade deadline. I don't understand why they did it. And they're like, because LaRavia and Smart weren't even a part of the rotation now, so we just got rid of them. This is a team that's had 10 guys on injury reports all season. So, at the very moment when everyone is healthy, those guys aren't a part of the injury report, but how good do you feel about Memphis running with a clean injury sheet all the way through? Because if there was one team you're going to feel confident about, it's not this one. If you're one team you're going to feel unconfident about, it is this one. At the moment, we're good. Cam Spencer dealing with a thumb fracture. Post All-Star break, I'm guessing. They got Marvin Bagley in the asset dumps of Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia. He's dealing with a knee injury. Honestly, I thought it was a torn ACL. They've given us no information apart from, knee sprain. All right, that doesn't help me know anything about what's actually going on with Bags. Maybe he comes back after the All-Star break. If they actually think that he's good, I question so much of their decision-making. We will see how much Bagley plays. What I do know is that you don't want to touch him at all in fantasy. I'm sure he's fine to touch, but maybe not for a fantasy league. The Lakers. They've got a lot of guys listed probable. Reeves, Doncic, amazingly. And say amazingly, it's amazing to say that he plays for Lakers. LeBron, and even old mate Dalton Connect, who was questionable for personal reasons after the trade rescinded, but he's probable too. So these aren't real situations. These guys are all going to play. Bronny James, who has been playing pretty well in the G League. We don't care about that for us at this point, but he's doubtful for a forearm injury. And honestly, I have the words and the tenor of the way that JJ Redick spoke about the crucifix Christian Wood makes me think that he's just not coming back. It's like, we've got no update. Yeah, it's like, yep. All right, cool. He's doing the work. He's getting back. It's just like, okay. It made me think that knee is just rooted and he's not playing. So that's sort of where we're at with Christian Wood, I guess. Let's go through. We've got a few teams to go. That's how it rolls. We'll go through to the LA Clippers, a team that notoriously in the past has been banged up as well, but there's only one dude on it, and it is Drew Eubanks, who sprained his ankle in the last game. He played only 6 minutes. Without him, they don't really have many other centers. Kobe Brown, but do they try Ben Simmons as a backup center now? Because he signed on this team. So Simmons and Bogdanovic should be available coming up pretty soon here. We're not rostering Ben Simmons, I hope. I hope nobody is rostering Ben Simmons in 12-team leagues. Maybe he does something in deeper leagues, but maybe not. In Indiana, Miles Turner dealing with that neck issue. We thought that looked like a concussion. Look, this is what I mean. Miles Turner got whacked in the face, got up, was stumbling around like he was drunk, and no concussion. If any sort of incident you've seen recently, we go, that's a concussion. The bro can't even walk. And now it's a cervical strain. Shout out to Miles' cervix. He could be okay. They've got a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. You can stream Thomas Bryant if you hate watching good basketball. Otherwise, this doesn't appear to be anything long-term. And this is not something that I know that everyone loves to bitch and moan and complain. And I've said this before, and I tweeted it out. Ben Taylor, Thinking Basketball, unbelievable video about the way that people and old heads and media people complain about the NBA. Oh, they all play the same. It's just three-point shooting the whole time. And he broke it down perfectly. Where for some reason people don't mind 80 jump shots taken in a game, but they're happy if they're 80 from 3, they hate it. But if it's 47 with a foot on the line and 40 from 3, then that's better for them. And watching those videos, yes, he can cherry pick things on those videos, but he did pick high quality matchups on that video. And watching the old games, it's like embarrassing compared to what you watch now. And the way that people talk about in the media about the way that the NBA is played at the moment, no one's got skill. It's actually crazy when you watch it. Anyway, so what I was then going to turn that into in terms of narratives and ideas and like everyone's hurt. And this is my theory always that the NBA and their preseason is horrifically run. I hate it. Injuries have gone down every month since the start of the season. And I know you think that it's just the worst for injuries. It was a really bad start to this season, yes. But every month, injuries have gone down. And you see now, this is no one on injury reports. A lot of teams, and you will have copped it, I know, in fantasy. I copped it bad. On one of my team, I lost Jalen Johnson, DeJounte Murray out for the season. That team's done. I'm rooted. That's up my third and fourth best player. Second and third best player. I'm done. I can't do anything about that. That's just bad luck. And I had a lot of Jalen Johnson and DeJounte Murray, and that's going to sink a lot of my teams. It happens. But overall, the actual incidence of injuries happening is down at the moment. In Houston, we've got Fred VanVleet. I'll guess he is out through the All-Star break with that ankle sprain. They said week to week. That would make sense for a return after the break. Şengün left the last game with back spasms, and there was no Steven Adams in that game. Now, Adams was just probably resting, but they listed it as an ankle problem. So he might be worth streaming, but they've got a back-to-back, so Tari Eason's going to sit one, Adams is going to sit one. And you would imagine that Şengün and his back, he might be risky for both of them. And then Jabari Smith could return post-All-Star break. Now, I don't believe you need to be rostering Jabari Smith in 10 or 12-team leagues at all. But you will notice that Jabari Smith, despite your criticisms of his overall stat line, he's bloody important to what they do. Because they have not been anywhere near as good without Jabari Smith. Yes, and some of that is Fred VanVleet, because the two players who cop unbelievable shit on this team are VanVleet and Smith. But without them, they're not as good. And some of that is because their replacements are terrible. But it's also, we love Amen Thompson. But 40 minutes a night for him is not going to be real. And Tari Eason is probably not going to be able to do it when Smith returns, because Smith and his shooting and his defense and his help instincts and rim protection are incredibly important. Just not saying that we add Steven Adams. Just watch the impact of that on other players. If you guys want a little bit, I don't know if you noticed, but about 3 weeks ago, I was having a lot of problems with my computer and a lot of these videos. You'd see random cuts and things going really weirdly because my program that I use to produce all this stuff and create these videos just kept crashing and kept freezing up, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, right? You know what I figured out the problem was? And here's Josh's tech tip of the day. Bang, tech tip. I was using Google Chrome. I switched from using Google Chrome. I haven't fully switched it out, but I've switched from using Google Chrome as my browser to Opera, and it's freed up all of my computer's processing power, so now the program doesn't crash anymore. Chrome I know a lot of you will know this, it just kills your computer. It kills everything. So I just stopped using it, and now I can get through shows without it crashing, which is a W. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, yeah? Let's go to the Warriors. Steph Curry on the injury report with a quad issue. He's questionable for Monday. They've got a Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back. Seems pretty unlikely with the All-Star game coming up that Steph will play 3 out of 4. That seems unlikely. And I would say that John Kuminga is out through the All-Star break, and him returning is going to be key. What does it do for Post? What does it do for Hield? What does it do for Podziemski? At the moment, I like Podziemski in a 12. I don't mind Hield in a 12, barely. Post is a deeper league guy, but the return of Kuminga is going to have an impact on a lot of these different players because he's a usage player who's going to get minutes, and I think he might come off the bench in lower minutes. And I wouldn't be shocked if we're in fantasy playoffs and we're like, I don't think we hold John Kuminga. I think that might happen. Detroit, we're looking clean at the moment. We're looking Pistons clean, Pistons fresh, because no one's on the injury report. I still don't believe that Jaden Ivey is returning this season. BT Dubs. On Denver, it is a couple of longer-term injuries here. The poop cookie, Michael Porter Jr., is listed questionable with a hamstring issue. He missed the last game. Is this one of those ones they're calling it tightness? Is tightness the essence of soreness? I don't know. I don't know how they're going to view that. It wouldn't make sense to push him through it because they are relying upon some of their other guys a little bit more. So just watch that one. Aaron Gordon is probable and Jamal Murray is probable, but Russell Westbrook I don't think plays before the break with his own hamstring issue. And then there's Peyton Watson with his knee issue, which should be into March, and same with Vlatko Čančar, who they just, again, hurt his knee, guys, don't worry about it. Okay, any particular injury we should know about? Because it looked dramatically like a re-injury of an ACL. Don't worry about it. He's fine. We'll tell you later, months later, but don't worry about it. He's not important to you guys. We don't care about old Vlatko, and I know most of you don't care either, but I do because I am weird. Let's go to Dallas. This is a team actually with a lot of injuries on the injury report. PJ Washington Jr. came back from personal absence, played 16 minutes and hurt his ankle. He is currently questionable for Monday's game, but we're going to get to the big one, don't worry. His value should sustain. Max Christie has a real chance to be a 12-team league guy. I don't mind adding him here. He's dealing with a shoulder issue. So he's questionable. I don't think we worry about it. Because you know what happened? Anthony Davis hurt himself again. Now, I know what you're going to say. Of course he did. He's always been injured. Yeah, but not really, right? Like, yes, but the last few years he's been fine. He was fine. I worry, I don't know this, I worry that he came back early from the abdominal strain because of the pressure about the trade and how bad it was, and to appease Mavericks fans a little bit. Hey, look what I can do. Look how crazy he went at the start of that game. Hey, look at this. I'm here. Let's go, AD. And then he hurt his groin. Now, is it the same injury? No. And I know that injury truth is it's a different injury. It's not the same thing as abdominal and adductor. Yeah, they're not that close, are they? Except they touch each other and connect. So I'm very, very certain that there is an impact there because the body is whole. We are holistic. It's all connected. Everything's a part of it. And then the report from Anthony Davis was, "No, I'm fine. I'm ready to go next game." Are you, mate? Because you're not. And then the first report came out and was like, "Yeah, he's going to miss some time here." Because my original thing was, okay, they said groin strain. I'll put him out through the All-Star break. He's not playing. That's how I adjusted the projections. Then Stein came out and Shams came out and go, "Yeah, it's going to be multiple weeks." And Shams was like, "Yeah, might be up to a month." I go, "Okay, this is bad." And then you hear the telltale, yuck from Stein, where it said, they're going to undergo, look at treatment options in the hope of avoiding surgery. And I went, excuse me? I did not think surgery was even an option here. So if surgery is even considered it's like if I go out there and sprain my ankle and they go, "Yeah, well, we'll see what we can do to avoid surgery." I go, what happened? That must be the worst injury of all time for an ankle sprain. Not that happened because you can have surgery, but if you even have to mention that word, that is bad. If Anthony Davis has surgery in his groin, that is season over. The fact that they're mentioning trying to work out how to avoid surgery means it is bad. Means it is at least a month. It has to be at least a month. We are not doing anything with it just yet because we've got the luck of being in the stage where we've got 4 days left before the All-Star break, the extra 6-7 days for information to come out, and we hold through it. But I think that we are over 50% likelihood of Anthony Davis being droppable here. Don't do it. I'll be 100% clear. I am not telling you to drop Anthony Davis. I am not telling you to consider dropping Anthony Davis. I am telling you that I think there is a high chance that we will have to drop Anthony Davis later on because every indication from this injury so far, the wording, the way it's being put out, the let's dump it during the Super Bowl information, makes me think that he will not play. Now, I put a 9th of March return date there for AD. Almost no way. I don't think, no way. But who knows? Who knows? I would say we are and I did not think this at the time, I would say we're at a 50-50 chance of him playing again this season. That is how bad I think this might get. And I think they're slow playing the information release. So, again, be ready. What does this mean? Is that Gafford gets kissed on the dick again. How does this happen? Traded to Dallas last season, benched 16 minutes a night. Okay, guess we're going to drop him. Nah, Lively goes down. Don't worry, you're good, Gaff. 29 minutes a night. Don't miss a shot for 3 weeks. You're the best player in fantasy. All good. All right. Lose the job to Lively in the playoffs. All right, we're heading to this season. Starts a couple of games. Lively starts. Goes back down to 15 minutes a night. Doing nothing. All right, guess we drop him. Lively breaks his foot. Gafford, you're back starting. All right, here we go. The number 2 player in fantasy, Dan Gafford. We're off again. Let's trade for Anthony Davis. All right, cool. So your value is dropping again. Is it Gaff? You're going to play this role. You're not going to close games. You're going to back to 25 minutes. You're going to be mid to back end fantasy play. No, Davis may be out for the year. How does it keep happening? And people are going to have this idea that Daniel Gafford is a great player. He's awesome. Everything is breaking right 100% for him. And this is the locker room legend himself, the man who goes to the locker room more than anybody. Yes, even more than Anthony Davis. Yet everything is falling apart around him somehow. And it is an underrated miracle run from Gafford providing this value. And I think that if you just don't have any sort of memory of this stuff and you look at blindly at fantasy ranks or fantasy points from the last couple of years, go, look how good Gaff is, man. He's awesome. These numbers are unbelievable. But there's so much context behind it. And yeah. Caleb Martin with a hip injury, probably a few more weeks. His impact's probably going to be cutting down the value of Najee Marshall, maybe Spencer Dinwiddie a little bit, but not someone we care about. Dante Exum questionable with Achilles, and Derek Lively, I think he's out till April. But they're going to need him back because their center rotation is now Gafford and You can fill it in. Dwight Powell's still injured, like Kylo Kelly, PJ Washington Jr. Omax Prosper is going to have to play. I don't like calling him Omax. It's lazy. I like to really get into the Olivier Maxence Prosper. I really like to get into it. He'll get some extra minutes as well. Oh, yeah. The Cavs. Maximilian Strus is on the injury report, questionable with ankle soreness. That is the ankle that, the old Brandon Ingram, the 3-month ankle injury. And now it's sore. It doesn't appear to be anything serious. His value is not as a 12-team league player with DeAndre Hunter arriving, but we might get one of those scenarios where Hunter is able to come in and start and get more minutes in his first game. People go, see, the value is there. I'm not sure about that. Isaac Okoro, this is another one of those ones where they just out for 15 games in a row. An update would be very, very nice, but of course nothing. I don't think that he plays before the All-Star break. I'm not sure he plays after it. And I probably should just make it even a longer absence. But it's always one of those ones where I'll continue. I always like to explain my process. And some people you go, why do I care, Josh? Most of you don't. But the longer you wait to say, well, I'm going to rule him out for 3 weeks, the closer he is to a theoretical return. Whereas initially, if I just said, well, he's re-injured his shoulder, he's out 3 weeks, we'd be good. But you do a day, and you go, okay, at some point I've got to rule him out, yeah? And then he comes back a day later. That happened to me with Tari Eason. Dean Wade, knee injury. I don't think he's back until March. He has had multiple issues there. Him being out, Okoro being out, Strus being questionable does help Hunter, but not enough for me to feel super, super strong about it. In Chicago, both Ayo Dosunmu and Lonzo Ball are dealing with illness. Lonzo's is specifically listed as influenza for some reason. Ayo's is just an illness. If those guys are out, it just means more for Giddey. It means more for Matas Buzelis. It means more for Trey Jones coming off the bench as well. And then Adama Sanogo dealing with a knee issue as well. They are going to be a team to watch, the Chicago Bulls, in terms of how they approach things. For the Hornets, old mate Mark Williams returning from the trade is not with the team for Monday. Will he play on Wednesday? Probably. Will he sit back-to-backs? Almost definitely would be my guess. LaMelo Ball is off the injury report, so Sunday was just a back-to-back rest, as we expected. But Nick Smith, Josh Green are both questionable after missing Sunday. Moussa Diabate hurt his eye. He's questionable. And Isaiah Wong is questionable with a foot injury. Josh Okogie is still out for a few weeks there with a hamstring injury. But obviously you can see, with Ball back, that does cut Simpson down. But Smith and Green and Wong could all be out, so Seth Curry could be back on the menu. And with Diabate maybe out, it could actually be Nurkic time. He's available, Nurk. And there's no Mark. There might be no Diabate. And it's Taj Gibson and Yusuf Nurkic. This might be a 1 to 2 game stream of Nurk. But they are going to, I believe, be a very, very frustrating team as we move forward. Brooklyn. At the moment, it's just these guys on the injury report. Noah Clowney maybe returns after the All-Star break. I still think we could get a top 100 run, but you don't have to stash him. Absolutely not. Cam Thomas after the All-Star break, their plans for him remain completely nebulous. We just don't know. Will they just run limited minutes on him and sit him every second game? I think that's possible. D'Angelo Russell's now questionable with an illness. He has been incredibly frustrating to deal with. I am at the stage where I'm not sure you need to hold him. He doesn't play 30 minutes. He sits out often. Now he's got a random illness. Is he going to play down the stretch? I'm really doubting that. I don't think D'Angelo Russell gets bought out, by the way, but I just think he won't play. And then Maxi Lewis is dealing with that leg fracture. Maybe he's back in the middle of March. And I'm just going to go ahead and call it Bojan Bogdanovic is not going to play. Done. Not worrying about him anymore. In Boston, a couple of injuries, which I'm not sure how actually legitimate they are. Jason Tatum with a patellar issue and Jaylen Brown with a knee swelling. My theory on this is they're both playing in the All-Star break. So let's see if we can get them a little bit of a pseudo All-Star break here, because the Celtics have 3 games in 4 nights before the All-Star break. Let me write this down right now. There is zero chance in hell that Brown and Tatum and Horford and Porzingis and probably White, there is zero, although less so with White, there is zero chance that Tatum and Brown are playing all 3 games this week. I won't say 0 because that gives me no out on it. Let's say 1%. There's no way they're playing. And that just means individual 1-game streams. Keep an eye on Luke Cornett and Sam Hauser in that spot. Drew Holiday dealing with this shoulder issue. He missed the last game. His production has not been good. I would not bother holding him, to be honest. And then you got Torrey Craig, who plays for this team, dealing with an ankle problem. I'm not sure we see him before the All-Star break. And then the final team, the Atlanta Hawks. There's no one injured. I mean, there's Kobe Buffkin and Jalen Johnson, but we've already pushed them out for the season. They're not coming back. Trae Young is probable with this Achilles injury like he is every single game. Capella's not in the injury report. Doesn't mean he's going to play. And then Mohamed Wayuge is in. He was listed as like maybe questionable because of the G League. And now we really have to see, how do they run it? What do they do? Is it Gay? Is it Niang? Is it Barlow? Is it Nance? Is it Ricochet? Is it Krejci? Is it going to annoy the shit out of me? Yeah. The answer, at least to that last question, is yes. The answer to the other questions, we don't know. And that is a trip around the NBA on White Shirt Day. So, if you like white shirts, well, I think you're absolutely obligated to give this video a thumb and a subscribe and a follow on the audio side as well. Keep your white shirts clean. Keep your brain positive. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.